Okay, so have you ever gotten that feeling? You walk into a restaurant, right? You're super excited for a good meal, and then something feels just, I don't know, off.
Yeah.
Like you get this like sixth sense tingling. Like maybe this isn't going to be the delicious meal you had hoped for.
Yeah, I think we've all had that experience where you kind of get that little voice in your head saying, uh-oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Proceed with caution.
Right.
So today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the world of restaurant red flags.
Oh, I love this.
Those little signs that most people probably don't even realize are actually like predicting a less than stellar dining experience.
Yeah. It's like a secret language of dining disappointment.
Exactly. And to help us decipher all these little codes and signs, we're using this guide called 10 Red Flags at Restaurants.
Okay, so what are some of the things that people should be looking out for? What are those red flags?
Well, let's start with, I guess, the first impression. You know, dirty windows,
Yeah.
grimy doors. It just kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, if they're not even taking care of this stuff that everyone can see,
Yeah, what about the kitchen?
exactly, what's going on back there that we don't see?
Right, and there's actually a psychological reason for that. There's something called the halo effect, where, our initial impressions of something, like how clean a place is, really kind of influences our overall perception.
Right.
So if a storefront looks neglected, our brains kind of jump to conclusions and think, well, maybe this isn't such a great place. And that can lower our expectations before we even step inside.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and that subconscious judgment can really affect our whole experience.
So it's like judging a book by its cover, but for restaurants.
Exactly.
Okay. Red flag number 2 is all about trusting your nose.
Oh,
I think we've all been in that situation where we walk into a restaurant and there's a just weird smell and it just kills the vibe.
right. You just lose your appetite instantly.
Exactly. So is this just me? Am I being too picky or is there something more to this?
No, you're definitely onto something. Our sense of smell is actually super powerful, and it's very closely tied to memory and emotion. So if you walk into a restaurant and you smell like stale grease or just that musty smell of a place that hasn't been cleaned in a while,
Oh, yeah.
it can trigger all sorts of negative associations and totally ruin your appetite.
It's like your stomach saying abort mission.
Exactly. And oftentimes those bad smells, they can be indicators of bigger problems like poor ventilation or even worse, like not so great cleaning practices in the kitchen.
Yeah, you don't want to think about that.
No, not really. And actually, some restaurants, they use pleasant smells strategically, like the smell of freshly baked bread or citrus
Yeah.
to make the atmosphere more inviting and appetizing.
Okay, so it's not just about like covering up bad smells.
Right.
It's about creating a whole positive sensory experience.
Exactly.
Okay, this next red flag is one I'm very passionate about. Sticky menus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very sensitive to this. It's just like, ew. Am I being too picky here?
No, not at all. Sticky menus are actually a haven for bacteria.
Oh.
Think about it. How many people touch those menus every day? And they could be transferring germs from person to person.
Okay, stop.
I know it's gross, right?
That is making my skin crawl.
Yeah.
But okay, is it really like, is one sticky menu a sign that the entire place is dirty? Or could it just be, a busy night and they just haven't gotten to it yet?
I mean, maybe one sticky menu is an oversight.
Yeah.
But if you consistently encounter sticky menus at a restaurant, it might be a sign that they're not paying as much attention to cleanliness and hygiene as they should.
Okay, so it's like a warning sign.
Right, something to be aware of.
Like, proceed with caution.
Exactly.
Okay, red flag number 4 is taking a little detour to the
Oh.
restroom.
Okay.
Now, why should we be paying attention to the state of a restaurant's bathroom?
Well, think of it this way. The bathroom is like a little sneak peek into the kitchen's hygiene standards.
Okay.
If they're not even keeping the bathroom clean, which is a public area,
Right.
what does that say about the food prep areas that you don't see?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you go to the bathroom and there's no soap, or there are no paper towels, or it's just generally dirty,
Yeah.
that's a big red flag.
Okay, so it's not just about, like, personal preference. It's about actual health concerns.
Exactly. It's a sign that they might not be taking sanitation seriously, which is so important when you're dealing with food.
Right. Nobody wants food poisoning.
Definitely not.
Okay, red flag number 5. Dirty tables. I get it. Restaurants get busy, but how long should a table sit uncleared before it becomes a red flag?
Well, a good restaurant, they make clearing and sanitizing tables a top priority.
Right.
As soon as someone leaves, they're right there cleaning it up.
Okay.
And it's not just about making the place look nice.
Yeah.
It's also about maintaining a clean and hygienic environment and preventing cross-contamination.
Right. That makes sense.
So if you see a table that's still covered in dirty dishes and food scraps long after the previous diners have left,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah, it could be a sign that they're short-staffed or that they're not well-trained or maybe just disorganized.
Okay, so it's like, if they're neglecting this, what else are they neglecting?
Right, exactly.
Okay, this next red flag is actually one I never thought about before. The menu paradox.
Okay.
I love having a lot of choices when I go out to eat,
Oh, yeah, me too.
but could a really big menu actually be a bad sign?
It can be. It really makes you wonder if they're offering like 100 different dishes,
Right.
can they really ensure that all those ingredients are fresh and that every dish is cooked to perfection?
Yeah, like, are they sacrificing quality for quantity?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none.
Okay.
A shorter, more focused menu often suggests that the chef is really good at a few things.
Right.
And they're using the freshest ingredients to make those dishes really shine.
So it's better to be really good at a few things than to be mediocre at a lot of things.
Right, it's about quality over quantity. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, red flag number 7 is kind of a weird one. The empty restaurant.
Yeah?
You go out to eat during prime time, and the place is a ghost town.
Right.
Is it just bad luck? Or is there something more to it?
Well, there are exceptions, of course.
Like what?
Like, it could be a brand new restaurant that's still trying to get the word out.
Right.
But if a restaurant is consistently empty, especially during peak hours, that's definitely a reason to be skeptical.
Okay.
Do a little research online, check out the reviews, see what other people are saying.
So don't just assume it's a hidden gem.
Right, because there might be a reason why it's hidden.
It's like that saying, if it's seems too good to be true.
It probably is.
Okay, this next red flag is a big one for me.
Yeah.
Bad service.
Oh, yeah, that can ruin a meal.
Totally. Rude servers, inattentive servers, it just kills the vibe.
Absolutely. The way you're treated by the staff can really make or break your whole dining experience.
It's true. I'd rather have a mediocre meal served with a smile
Right.
than an amazing meal served with a scowl.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good service is about so much more than just taking your order.
No.
It's about being attentive, anticipating your needs, making you feel welcome and comfortable.
Okay, so, like, what are some signs of bad service?
Well, if the servers seem more interested in their phones than their customers,
Oh,
or if they're just generally unfriendly or unhelpful, that's not a good sign.
right.
It could mean that the restaurant doesn't value good service
Yeah.
or that they don't treat their employees well.
And that can affect the whole atmosphere.
Exactly.
Okay. Red flag number 9 is one that can make even the most adventurous eater a little squeamish. Food storage.
Yeah, food safety is so important.
Totally. So what are some signs that a restaurant might not be prioritizing food safety?
Well, if you can see into the kitchen or any of the food prep areas,
Right.
pay attention to how they're handling the food. If
Uh-oh.
you see food left out at room temperature for a long time,
Yeah.
or uncovered containers, or just a generally dirty and disorganized environment,
Oh.
those are all major red flags.
Okay, so this isn't just about being grossed out.
Right.
It's about genuine health concerns.
Exactly. Improper food storage can lead to bacteria growth,
Right.
and that can make people sick.
Nobody wants that.
Nope. Food safety should be a top priority for every restaurant.
All right, brace yourselves, everyone, because this last red flag
Mhm.
is the ultimate deal breaker. Finding something in your food that shouldn't be there.
Oh, no.
I'm talking hair, foreign objects, the really bad stuff.
Ugh. Yeah, that's the worst.
This goes way beyond a red flag. This is like a health hazard.
Absolutely. If you find something in your food that shouldn't be there, or if your food is undercooked,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to send it back.
Right.
Your health is more important than being polite.
It's true. You're paying for a safe and enjoyable meal.
Exactly. A good restaurant will apologize and fix the problem right away.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from dirty windows to the dreaded extra ingredient surprise.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
But the real question is, what can we as diners do with all this knowledge?
Well, that's what we're going to explore in part 2 of our deep dive.
Stay tuned.
We'll be back.
So we're back, and we've been talking about all these restaurant red flags.
Right, all those little things that can either make your meal fantastic or, well, not so much.
Yeah, and it's easy to think, oh, that's just a minor thing.
Right, it's easy to dismiss them.
But we're starting to see how all these little details can actually tell us a lot about the restaurant as a whole.
Exactly, like how much they care about the quality of the experience.
Yeah, and how much they respect their customers.
Right, it's like those red flags are like a secret code,
Yeah.
telling us what's really going on behind the scenes.
So how do we crack the code? How do we go from just noticing these red flags to actually like making smarter choices when we're eating out?
It's all about being more aware, I guess.
Okay.
Being more observant, really paying attention to those subtle cues that most people miss.
Okay, so it's not just about avoiding a bad meal.
No, it's about enjoying every dining experience to the fullest.
I like that. So how do we level up our observation skills?
Well, one of the best things you can do is just watch the staff.
Okay.
See how they interact with each other? Do they seem like a team? Do they seem like they enjoy working there?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been to places where the staff just seemed miserable.
Right, and it kind of brings the whole mood down.
Totally.
But when the staff is happy and supportive of each other,
Yeah.
it creates a much more positive vibe for everyone.
Okay, what about the menu? We talked about those super long menus, but are there other things we should be looking out for?
Definitely. Pay attention to the language they use.
Hmm.
Is it clear and concise? Or is it trying too hard to impress you with fancy words?
Like instead of freshly baked bread, it's like artisan crafted, slow fermented delight.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes those over-the-top descriptions can be a sign that they're trying to hide something.
Oh, so it's not just about what's on the menu.
Right.
It's about how they describe it.
Exactly. You want to see authenticity both in the food and in the words.
This is getting deep.
It is. But it's all about having a better dining experience.
Okay, so we're watching the staff, we're decoding the menu. What else should we be paying attention to?
Think about the overall atmosphere.
Hmm.
Does it feel welcoming and inviting? Or is it chaotic and stressful?
Oh, yeah. I hate when restaurants are too loud.
Right. It can be overwhelming.
And then you can't even enjoy the food.
Exactly. A good restaurant creates an environment that's comfortable and inviting.
Right.
A place where you can relax and enjoy your meal.
And this all ties back to the idea of being a more aware diner.
Right, absolutely. It's about being present, engaging all your senses. Not just passively consuming, but really experiencing the food and the atmosphere.
This is making me think about dining in a whole new way.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Okay, so we've mastered observation. We're like restaurant detectives analyzing everything.
Right.
But what do we do with all this information? How do we actually use it to make better choices?
That's where it gets really interesting. Because now you can use all these observations to find restaurants that truly align with what you're looking for. You can be the architect of your own dining experience.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. So how do we become these culinary architects? What are the blueprints?
Yeah, tell me everything.
Well, first of all, trust your gut.
Okay.
If a restaurant just gives you a bad feeling, don't ignore it.
So if I see those red flags, I should just walk away.
You can. There are so many other great restaurants out there.
Okay, that's good to know.
Don't be afraid to be a little picky.
You deserve a good meal.
You do.
This is so empowering.
It is.
It's like we're taking back control of our dining destinies.
Exactly. And remember, this isn't about being a snob.
Yeah.
It's about knowing what you want and finding restaurants that deliver on that promise.
So we've learned to be observant, we're trusting our instincts. But what about those times when we're faced with a real dilemma?
Like what?
Like, what if the food is amazing, but the service is terrible?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Or the ambiance is perfect, but the menu is kind of boring.
Right. Those are the tough choices.
How do we decide?
Well, there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
It really depends on what's most important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might be willing to put up with bad service if the food is truly exceptional.
Right.
Others might prioritize a great atmosphere, even if the food isn't the most memorable.
Okay, so it's about finding that balance, right?
Exactly. What are you willing to compromise on, and what are your non-negotiables?
This is making me think of dating. But for restaurants,
I like
they're looking for the perfect match, but sometimes you have to overlook a few flaws.
Right, and you never know. Sometimes those unexpected pairings can be the most surprising and delightful.
Yeah, maybe that hole-in-the-wall place with the grumpy owner actually has the best food in town.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're not just redefining restaurant red flags.
Right.
We're redefining what a good restaurant even is.
Exactly. It's not just about fancy decor or Michelin stars. It's about finding those places that resonate with you on a personal level.
Yeah, the places that make you feel good.
Right, and that create those truly special dining experiences.
It's about the food, the atmosphere, the company, everything.
Absolutely. It's about the whole package.
This has been amazing.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Okay, so before we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question. Think about your most memorable dining experiences, the good and the bad ones.
That's a good one.
What were those defining moments? What made them stand out?
Yeah, what can you learn from those experiences?
And how can you use those insights to create even more amazing dining experiences in the future?
That's what it's all about.
Okay, so welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about how to spot those restaurant red flags.
Right, those subtle signs that can really make or break your dining experience.
And we've talked about the psychology behind it.
Yeah, like how those red flags can give you a glimpse into what's really going on.
Exactly. And how we can all become more aware, more mindful diners.
Right, exactly.
But let's get practical now.
Yeah.
What are some actual tips that our listeners can use?
Okay, well, one of the best tools you have is online reviews.
Okay.
They can be super helpful, but you got to know how to use them.
Right. Not all reviews are created equal.
Exactly. Don't just focus on the star rating.
Okay.
Look for patterns in the reviews. See what people are consistently saying, both good and bad.
So, like, are people raving about the service, or are they all complaining about the long wait times?
Exactly. Those patterns can tell you a lot more than just one person's opinion.
That makes sense.
And be careful of those overly positive reviews that sound fake.
Oh, yeah, those are the worst.
Some restaurants, they actually encourage people to leave good reviews, so they might not be totally honest.
Oh, sneaky. So basically, do your research,
Yes.
read between the lines, trust your gut.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about once you're actually at the restaurant? Are there any, like, on-the-spot things we can look for?
Yeah, definitely. Pay attention to the little things, those details that most people don't even notice.
Okay, like what?
Well, for example, how does the staff treat each other?
Hmm.
Is there a sense of teamwork and respect, or is there a lot of tension?
Oh, yeah. I've been to places where you can just tell the staff hates each other.
Right. And that negative energy can definitely affect your experience.
Totally.
When the staff is happy and supportive, it creates a much more positive atmosphere for everyone.
Okay, so staff vibe check. Important.
Very important.
What else?
Also, pay attention to cleanliness, not just in the dining area, but also in the kitchen if you can see it.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
If you see dirty dishes piled up or food left out uncovered, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else they're not careful about.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've checked the staff, we've checked the cleanliness. Any other pro tips?
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay.
It shows that you're interested, and it gives you a chance to see how knowledgeable the staff is.
So what kind of questions should we be asking? Like, should we be interrogating the waiter about where the lettuce comes from?
No, not necessarily. Just simple things like, what are the specials? Or what would you recommend?
Oh, okay.
A good server will be happy to answer your questions and give you recommendations.
Yeah, I love when servers are really passionate about the food.
Right. It makes the whole experience so much better.
So it's about turning that, like, transaction into a conversation.
Exactly. You want to feel like you're being taken care of.
I like that.
And if the server seems clueless, it might be a sign that the restaurant doesn't invest in training.
Okay. So be observant, ask questions, trust your gut.
Yes.
If something feels off, it probably is.
Right.
And don't be afraid to walk away if a restaurant isn't meeting your expectations.
There are plenty of other amazing places out there.
That's so true. This has been an eye-opening deep dive.
I agree.
It's like we've given our listeners a whole new set of tools for navigating the world of dining.
And hopefully they'll have more enjoyable experiences because of it.
Absolutely. So go forth, dear listeners, and conquer the culinary world.
And bon appetit.